We found the new donkey with headphones.
Yes, we have. So I just got out of the seventh of 8 Best Picture nominees theatrically, because you guys know that me watching a movie on my computer is kind of a fate worse than death for me. So I wanted to watch all of the Best Picture nominees theatrically. It would have been nice to be able to watch them all before we did this video, but nah, that didn't happen. I got one more. Rob Van Dam's best favorite holiday, 420, is when I'm going to be doing the final of the 8 Best Picture nominees. AJ's favorite film of 2021, Mank.
Hey, it might be better with some recreational medicational stuff.
Well, I'm straight edge. That makes me better than you. That's a cold open, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, Hausen, to another edition of another awards podcast here on the Popcast Network. We are now officially doing the big one. We're predicting the Academy Awards today. My name is Owen. Joining me as always, we have Ashley.
I want to go to Iceland.
And of course, also joining us for the award season is AJ.
If any like new people happen to come across this, I really hope they picked up on your sarcasm of Mank being my so-called favorite movie of the year. It isn't. It really
It's
isn't.
pretty obvious to the point that AJ warned me numerous times before I undertook this mission that Mank was going to be the hardest of the 8 to get through, even though I have hopes for it. I kind of have this thing about boredom in movies causing sleep. So, needless to say, it may not affect me, or it may, but I will say right now, the cookie dough bites will add just so I can make sure I can stay awake, just to be safe.
Well, you remember through pretty much the whole year, I was really, really psyched about Gary Oldman starring in a Fincher movie. About the movie industry. Like, it was... All the cards were on the table, but, yeah. It's...
Well, since of course I can't be in Oshkosh, Wisconsin with my Major Mark friends right now, I'm sporting the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast Live 7 shirt, Stomp in Oshkosh. So yes, I thought it'd make sense to wear that tonight. And Brian's already in chat. He says, almost made my final decision in all categories except for editing and actress.
No, I need
Now,
Brian's decision on what the fuck that lizard's about.
I don't know. I had like a Max Caster moment right there. I was like, what are you trying to say, Ashley?
I don't know.
DJ ran up in the area?
Probably.
Yeah, that's our new donkey with headphones, everyone.
Following up from that BAFTA thing, I had to share it with AJ, and we've still collectively don't get it, and at the same time love it. So it basically is actually the new donkey with headphones.
Weirdly enough, without going any further in depth with what I'm going to say, I kind of feel that way about The Father. I don't completely understand it all, but I love it. So there you go.
The lizard. Hang on. Question mark. Bri didn't see the lizard. Bra bra bra.
Back up again.
Yes.
Of course you are.
People need to be aware of lizard. Both the film and whatever the shit that is. The reason why I made the reference to Iceland, of course, is we had the confirmation. It was either yesterday or today. I think it was today. The Husavik song is going to be performed in Iceland, whereas the other 4 are going to be on the roof of the academy. I guess they run out of budget. Yeah, they're going to be
Five
doing
Man.
they're going to be doing a 90-minute pre-show, which will include the 5 musical performances in full. And they're also doing a post-show, so they're stealing our shit. Thanks, ABC,
Okay, so what?
you bastards.
Oh, I I will have to find out if I'm going to have to work Monday morning or not, because if that's the case, then no. We're not doing that. I can't afford to do that because we're doing an entire
No,
show.
I'm saying ABC, what we've been doing for the past few weeks, and why don't we do that, but on national television with somebody that was in the prom? And I went, oh shit, they did it on purpose.
Yeah, just like Brad Jones stealing our stuff. Now.
Oh, Bryce saying stick with Sal. No. That lizard has Sal. It's also got scales, but there you go.
Cartoon word bubble of Sal with like elongated L's being said by the lizard.
I might have to get that no swearing thing with Danhausen and just change it to Sal.
I approve, Hausen. Yeah, that's a random cold open. So technically speaking, we're doing 2 shows. If you're live with us, you'll be joining us for the other one, which is going to be the Independent Spirit Awards, which in the past, it's usually the first one we predict, and this year it's actually the last one. The reason why is because it makes sense for Friday's headliner video network to be the Oscar predictions. And of course, it's going to be on the main page on the site. So you'll have that for an extra day to check that out before the actual ceremony next week. And Brian says we have our list of presenters, including Brad Pitt finally presenting supporting actress.
Yeah, we've got the returning acting winners, and Bong Joon-ho, I think, also, I'm assuming, is doing director.
Yeah, director Bomb's directing. Yeah. And Harrison Ford is like standing out as best picture. Like,
I'm guessing we're all under the assumption Marley Matlin is presenting Sound of Metal as a picture nominee.
That makes sense. Just as long as Jack Jason's there, that's all that matters. Which he won't be. Yeah, he will.
Yeah,
of course.
He could be. Yeah.
Because that's who we're here to see. We're here to see Jack Jason. So.
How are they going to fit in that train station? There's too many people.
So we're going to predict everything tonight. We're predicting the Oscars in Popcast, and then Saturday's video will be me choking to death, apparently.
Yes.
The Independent Spirit Awards. And then Sunday, I believe, kick right into peer reviews. And AJ's got the network for the next several days, leading us into next week. Should have grabbed water or something. So, what we're going to do is we're going to predict everything right now. And like I said, I have now officially watched 7 of the 8 Best Picture nominees. Unfortunately, I was not able to see Chadwick Boseman's portrayal in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, which I wanted to see, but AMC has this deal with Netflix, which they won't put Netflix movies out, so that's not an option. And Ma Rainey didn't go well enough in the actual race that was not the bigger categories to justify getting another theatrical release.
The farcical thing will be if it now has it wins the most, because it like wins the techs, and then it'll be like, well, there you go.
So, I think we're going to start this, shall we?
So, I think we're going to go in the order that we predicted the nominees.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not quite Wikipedia's order, but it's the one that makes me the most comfortable. So
Well, I'm gonna have to bounce. That's fine.
oh, we're starting off on the right track. We're starting with visual effects.
Okay.
Where we have Love and Monsters, The Midnight Sky, Mulan, The One and Only Ivan, and Tenet. So obviously you kind of always want to consider the space movie, which in this case would be The Midnight Sky.
Mhm.
And I guess there are times where you'd want to consider the guilds, but the thing is the guilds are actually kind of useless because of the way their categories are split up.
Right.
So you can only really take that so far, unless there's like a clear front runner. Which sometimes as far as visual effects goes, usually there's at least two battling it out. But I don't know if Tenet is ahead. I feel like The Midnight Sky would be a pretty distant second, if I'm not completely off. So and the other three are just kind of here. Like I said, it's if with any luck at all, Mulan is like dead last at this point, because like even when they showed that one clip of it at the BAFTAs, you could see just how shitty it looked, effects wise. So yeah, Love and Monsters and The One and Only Ivan are like, it's really cool that they're here, but they may or may not have been here at all in like a more blockbustery year.
Mhm.
like if Dune was here, for instance. So even though it really hasn't had a strong showing much at all, I feel pretty comfortable with Tenet here. So
Okay.
Yeah, I
Ashton?
think I've been pretty much Tenet all season, and just keep saying, you know, the building imploding and exploding, but it's even like some of the more technical sort of things as well. Plus, on top of that, you know, special visual effects includes physical stuff as well, and the amount of physical stuff that did happen in that, I think deserves to be credited just as much. So yeah, I'm sticking with Tenet like I think I have done all season.
Well, I said, and it was said numerous times on the show, many times throughout the season, that this year was going to be hey, we're probably going to pick the same thing. And so far, AJ and Ashley have picked the same thing. Owen's going to go with the space movie. I'm going with The Midnight Sky here.
Can we clarify this? Are we saying that Tenet isn't a space movie?
there's sci-fi, and there's the movie that's also sci-fi but has literally space in it. Is what I mean by space movie.
I mean, what is the concept of space? I just thought Space was a band that did Female of the Species that was on the soundtrack to Austin Powers. That's my space. No, that's a different thing. Shit.
But
anyway.
honestly, at the end of the day, I would not be surprised if you guys are right. And as much as you hate to see it happen, and as much as it probably shouldn't, this is a kind of an award that could go to something like a Mulan, no matter.
That's what I'm fearing. Nomadland's winning, so we need to appease China.
How about it doesn't win? And
I mean, you know, to be honest, I'd like to see another Ex Machina year, and go with the smaller film that suddenly like gets out of nowhere, rather than the more high-profile ones.
Brian says, I'm guessing that Rita Moreno is probably doing Best Picture, which is basically saying, hey, I'm telling you Spielberg's West Side Story is winning Picture next year. Also, which category that Reese Witherspoon to present an award to major female nominee like the screenplay because she's a feminist? No offense, Jay. Look at last year's presentation of original score.
I don't know.
So what you're trying to say is original screenplay might mysteriously be Reese Witherspoon, because Emerald's doing Witherspoon's next production that will probably get dumped on Netflix, just like Little Fires Everywhere got dumped on Amazon and sort of got some acclaim, but not enough that Kerry Washington couldn't even be bothered to turn up to the Screen Actors Guild when it was on Zoo.
Fair. Continue.
Sound.
All right.
So for sound, we have Greyhound, Mank, News of the World, Soul, and Sound of Metal. So in any other case, once again, since we're not in like a blockbustery year, usually not necessarily Greyhound specifically, but movies like Greyhound,
Right.
you can bet on here, usually. But not only are we in this non-blockbuster year where it wouldn't necessarily go to where a lot of the obvious choices aren't even here, because they've been pushed or whatever. But so not only is that a unique case in itself, but we've also got the unique case of a movie as small as Sound of Metal is so hinged on its sound. And of course, the lazy voters will probably go the route of, it's got sound in the title, that must be right. But the way that this is a case where the story is told so much through the sound is something we don't really see very often, if at all. So I was talking before about how in another year it might just be inspired that Sound of Metal is nominated, but in a year like this, it can actually win. So that's what I'm gonna say.
All right, Ashley.
What I'm trying to remember is how much like big screen / drive-through stuff did Greyhound even get because it was an Apple film?
Probably not much at all, what I remember.
Yeah. Whereas
I remember
where practically everything else would have. Even Netflix tried to get everybody watching it in cinemas, which is normally not the Netflix thing to do. So, in essence, Greyhound should be the outsider because there isn't any proper way to experience the sound as intended because it never really got shown on a big screen. I'm obviously going with Sound of Metal. As you know, as mentioned, it's just the concept and the method that makes it crucial. You know, like how we mentioned how the father's production design arguably is a character, the sound portrayal in Sound of Metal is as well.
Oh,
and they stuck a microphone down his throat. That's why you line.
Yeah, there's no competition here, at least from what I'm seeing. Sound of Metal's winning this, and I'm very happy with anything it brings home on Oscar Sunday.
All right, the next one.
Yes.
All right, so Owen, we were talking the other day, and I said how this year got weirdly predictable pretty fast. Like for a while there, it was like, wow, the most unpredictable thing by far is the tech categories. We have no idea what's going to happen because so many things aren't here, and the stuff that we usually take this kind of stuff didn't come out. But it's gotten pretty predictable pretty quickly as like the guilds have been coming out and like BAFTA and a lot of stuff is lining up. And we were talking about how either it's going to be really boring, us going through these, or we might take a Hail Mary shot every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
Usually I try to limit it to like 1 or 2 Hail Mary shots and stick to the predictable. This one I feel like I might be doing that. Something that probably isn't smart.
I'm intrigued to see what the category is now.
I know where you're going with this.
Documentary?
Oh, maybe not.
Okay.
I was not where I was headed with that. Go ahead.
All right. I gotta find the fucking thing. Here we are. For documentary, we have Collective, Crip Camp, The Mole Agent, My Octopus Teacher, and Time. Now, of course, this is yet another year where the perceived frontrunner isn't even here at all, which probably would have been Dick Johnson Is Dead at some point, pre-nominations.
Right.
So then it was like, oh, damn, it's all up in the air now. And then between the guilds and BAFTA, My Octopus Teacher has had a pretty consistent showing all the way through to where it could seem, I guess if you want to equate it to Sea Life, almost as much of a slam dunk as The Cove was.
Yeah.
Almost. But I don't know why, but I just really haven't been feeling it. And there was a movie I just kept staring. Like, I was trying so hard. Like, remember the scene in Liar Liar where he's trying to write, Red, but he just can't? I was trying to write My Octopus Teacher, and I couldn't. Like, I was like, no, there's that one other thing there, and I can't get my mind off of it. And, yeah, I had to give into it. At one point, I would have said Collective, because it's here twice. I strongly consider Time for a reason I can't quite wrap my head around. It's really, I think it's also just a case of I'm almost getting Icarus vibes from this year, where it's going to be like one that kind of seems like it comes from out of nowhere. I don't know if anything's going to do that to the extent that Icarus did for a while. But for some reason, I couldn't get my mind off of Crip Camp.
I figured that's where you're going.
And I just couldn't tear myself away from Crip Camp to say My Octopus Teacher. I don't know what this is. It feels weirdly supernatural or something. And it's probably horribly wrong as well. But the only one I didn't really consider was The Mole Agent for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah, so for some reason I said Crip Camp, so here we are.
All right. What do you got, Ashley?
I've literally switched between two films in the last 2 minutes of AJ talking.
Wow. I think that's where you're going with this.
I'm gonna stick. I'm trying to think of this Academy. And I'm trying to think of... I'm going to stick with Collective. But considering everything that's happened in the past 12 months with Black Lives Matter and things like that, it's the perfect timing for Time to get... Considering the subject matter of Time, it's the perfect time for it to come in and just swoop in. I'm going to stick with Collective because I want to stay loyal to that because of how fascinating it is and how bloody stupid Romanian politics is. But I really, I want to say Time, but I don't have to go with Collective, but that's what I'm going to go with. Because I've been loyal to it throughout the start of it just because of the subject matter and everything. And that sort of like proper sort of spotlight style journalism. So yeah.
Talking about movies that brought you to the dance, I feel that My Octopus Teacher has done really well for me throughout this entire run, getting me points left and right. And just seeing that tiny little clip made me feel that it's a very charming presentation, no matter how it actually goes. If it goes wrong or if it goes, it's still just as charming as it is in that little tiny snippet that we saw at BAFTA. And I know, AJ, you would agree with me that when it comes to the front runner or the one that's the sure thing in documentary of all things, it's probably not smart to go with that one, because that one usually jobs out right good at the end. But this is another year, and I think this is a different year. I think the obvious answer is actually going to be the correct one this time. I'm going to go with My Octopus.
And regarding Ashley's point about time, I actually have some things kind of related to that when we get to the shorts.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get to the shorts, let's go to foreign, international, whatever you want to call it. Let's do a speed round.
Sideways. Let's go sideways. The Crown.
Lord.
So, yeah, real quick, we've got Another Round, Better Days, Collective, The Man Who Sold His Skin, and Quo Saida. I don't know about the rest of you, but I feel like this is pretty clearly another round, is it not?
Yeah.
Ashley.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree.
Sideways. Quite literally, considering how Sideways is all about wine, that makes so much sense. Mads Mikkelsen doing stealth campaign in there.
All right, let's do an even faster category. Animated.
Yeah.
Onward, Over the Moon, Farmageddon, Soul, and Wolfwalkers. Is anybody not saying Soul?
I'm not saying it. I'm saying Sal. But I think if I put that into Google Translate, it comes out the same.
4 letters. Currently, my rotunda right now. Absolutely, Soul wins. But here's the thing. I'm going with Soul, and I think it's the smart move here. If there were any competition, it would have came out by now.
If there was any,
just the same.
If there was any competition to Soul, Wolfwalkers would have gotten BAFTA.
Exactly.
And that's pretty much it. And since the last time we did a video, I've now seen Wolfwalkers. And it's imagine if Brave was good.
Yeah.
And had just a little bit of How to Train Your Dragon in it.
And Sean Bean.
But was better than that too.
And Sean Bean.
Wolfwalkers is better than Soul. I feel really comfortable saying that.
Sean Bean. That's what I need to say. Sean Bean.
That's where I got How to Train Your Dragon vibes. It's like Sean Bean is basically doing Gerard Butler in How to Train Your Dragon. But well, I'm also somebody that thinks Onward is better than Soul. I do really like Soul, but Wolfwalkers is fucking amazing. Like I thought it was going to be a little overblown. It's not.
Nice.
All right. This one gave me some trouble. We're on the shorts now.
Oh boy.
And we're going to start with documentary short. Where we have... Where is it? Okay. We have Colette, A Concerto as a Conversation, Do Not Split, Hunger Ward, and A Love Song for Latasha. I watched 3 of these. Which is usually when it gets complicated as far as predicting, when you've seen some but not others.
True.
Okay, so which have you seen, AJ?
I have seen Hunger Ward, A Concerto as a Conversation, and A Love Song for Latasha.
Okay.
This based on its subject matter alone, you almost kind of immediately want to say Do Not Split, right? But when you look at a lot of these, and this we'll bring this into the live action shorts, or at least one of them or 2 of them, I don't remember. But
opinions on theirs in a bit.
And it's what you were talking about with time. There's a lot of stuff, more than usual, like even more than usual this year, where it's like it would have to be that one because it's topical. but everything in a lot of these categories is so aggressively topical. The question is either which topical thing is going to come out on top, or is there going to be topical fatigue? And will they go for the thing that's maybe not as topical, almost based on, almost like there'll be four things that are really heavy and probably really worthy of winning, but then there'll be one that's just such a breath of fresh air that it's not that heavy. They might go in that direction.
That's fair.
But even in that case, because I would say A Concerto as a Conversation would seem like a breath of fresh air, but it still begins like, because the whole thing is about Chris Bowers, the guy that did like the score for Green Book and When They See Us and stuff like that. And he's basically telling the story of his grandfather. And the story of the documentary is it starts with his grandfather in like the Jim Crow era, and how he, as his grandson, was able to get to the Oscar stage and do the Walt Disney Concert Hall or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
But bonus points that I didn't remember right away that he was the composer for Green Book. So it shows the clip in the documentary of Green Book winning picture. I was like, why the fuck are they showing this? And it's because he was on the stage because everybody went up there, and that was like one of his big, massive accomplishments from where his grandfather started. So I feel like that's got to be a plus to voters. But one of the things it comes down to is the Oscars are a massive accomplishment, especially depending on where you come from. A love song for Latasha is like really devastating, but it's also a case of, I don't know how the way it's told, how voters might feel about that. There's a whole middle portion of a love song for Latasha where there should probably be a warning for epileptic people, and I don't know why it's like that. It's like there's the whole most of it is told through the story of like it's supposed to, because the shooting took place in 1991, so the whole movie's made to look like it's on like a VHS tape. But then just in the middle, it kind of goes crazy.
Oh, the tracking
like
goes
a scene
weird.
out of Fantasia.
The tracking goes weird.
Well, not even that. It's like they were. It's like they were trying to do a scene out of Fantasia or something. I don't know what the hell the artistic choice was, but yeah, it kind of loses you at its most devastating point because it's almost like they're trying to show off a little too much creatively. Like I said, Do Not Split would be a really obvious choice also. Hunger Ward's the misery porn one. I hate to be that dismissive about it, but it's actually pretty off-putting how in your face the filmmakers are trying to be with it. Like it's almost too intrusive, which of course is kind of what you want out of a documentary to an extent. But yeah. I'm just really tired of every Oscar season having to watch children suffer, because it never fails. It's always there.
At this rate, you're telling me you're going for the one that's based in that comes out of the video game, right? Oh, do I need to explain that comment?
Probably.
Colette actually features in the Medal of Honor VR game as a story that, they show part of the documentary, then you quote unquote live it in game and like can do whatever, and then it sort of goes back to the documentary. So technically, it's the first video game based film that's actually up for an Oscar. Suck it, Wreck-It Ralph.
I had no idea of that, but actually, I settled on A Concerto as a Conversation.
Yeah.
But that was really just basically a 5-sided coin toss, because this could really be any of them.
All right, what you got, AJ? Long day. What do you got, Ashley?
Topical Matters love song for Latasha.
And I literally have everything in front of me right now, and on AJ's, not say insistence, but more of trying to get things more rolling along. I actually did my predictions for everything yesterday, so I have everything in front of me and I'm not changing anything. I had it the entire way, and even though AJ picked it, I'm still going with it as well. A concerto is a conversation is my answer as well. Now, when we get to the shorts, the ones I actually was able to watch, and the ones that AJ was able to watch. Now, I'm curious to see what you thought on some of the things, because the long conversation we had off camera about on the phone about these shorts that we're about to talk about.
Well, we're on live action short next.
Yes.
I have access to 4 of them, but I've only watched 2 of them so far. The only one I don't have access to is White Eye. But feeling through, I think, is out there on YouTube, and The Present is on Netflix. But I did watch The Letter Room and Two Distant Strangers, and I don't know if it was being swayed by watching them or what, but when we went into this, when me and you were talking about this, and I think we even brought it up earlier in one of the other videos, that it feels like going into this that Two Distant Strangers is the front runner. Am I wrong?
Pretty obviously, yes.
Okay. So while I was watching it, it is very effective, but I was starting to wonder after a while if it's almost too on the nose to the point of being off-putting.
Could be. I see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And like I was talking about with...
I see what you mean, but then again, at the same time, it's the Oscars. Sometimes I don't... We literally just said they're going to go for Sound of Metal because sound's in the title. So...
I'm going to guess are you talking about the ride-along? Is that where you got that vibe?
I'm talking about the whole thing.
Okay.
No, and I'm not saying that it's not effective, because it definitely is. But it's mainly comes back to what I was talking about of when you're watching all the other shorts, including the documentary shorts. Are voters eventually going to get to a point where they're like, we can't give everything to the topical thing, because it could really come to that. Like, just all the winners are topical in some way.
Well, I mean, if that's the case, which there's going to be an upset here, obviously I'll make my choice what I'm going to go with in a minute. But if you want to talk about the one that I like more than the rest, I like Two Distant Strangers. I really liked White Eye. The Present was just kind of there. The Letter Room's really good, but the one that I really felt compelled by was Feeling Through. And I think in another year, it would be the happy choice to go over on all of the sad topical topics of everything else. Because Feeling Through is just a kind story, and it's easily my favorite of the shorts for sure.
And then you've got I considered Feeling Through, but then, like I said, there's another fallback choice, which is the one that's heavy, not necessarily as devastatingly heavy as something like Two Distant Strangers.
Mm.
And to boot, you've got a recognizable face in it. You got a couple of recognizable faces in it. Obviously, there's always shock out for the Arrested Development fans as well.
It's really it's very inspirational.
Yeah, so much like documentary, I'm well aware of the choice I should be going with. But I went in another direction, and I said The Letter Room.
It's a solid choice for sure. What do you got, Ashley?
I'm sticking with what it was as soon as I looked up the details of the 10 shortlisted ones. I'm sticking with Two Distant Strangers.
I like it. I like the concept. it is very heavy in places, especially like I mentioned later in the when it gets along to a ride along that happens with him and the officer the entire that we build to this and build to this and build to this, and then we build to a crescendo, and then it just Groundhog Days it up again. But honestly, at the end of the day, I just have to stick with it. It just makes sense to me. I mean, I want Feeling Through to win. I really do. I like it. I think it's going to be the one that is the most heartwarming of the entire one. I really think The Letter Room is really well done. I liked most of them, honestly. They're all really solid. I think The Present's kind of a forgettable one, but everything else is really good this year. So, yeah, I'm okay with going with Two Distant Strangers. It's not a bad one at all. It is topical, but it's very good.
You like the ride-along scene because he explicitly calls bullshit on Kevin Hart.
You're absolutely correct. Absolutely correct.
So which one are you going with?
What's going on, Ashley?
Which one are you going with, Owen, or have you not declared yet?
I did Two Distant Strangers.
Okay. Go ahead, AJ.
I feel that be safe this time around instead of trying to take a wild stab, because I've got in a couple of those coming up in a little bit. What happens?
Are we ready for the last short?
I think this is probably one of the obvious ones too. I would think at this point.
I saw 4 out of 5 of these. I still don't know where the hell Opera can be located. I don't think anybody else does either,
if it's supposed to be like a 4K IMAX thing, who the hell knows?
It's bizarre. It's the kind of thing that you could imagine. There's like a billion things going. I told you about it. It's basically like the rolling with Wes Anderson style, like scroll of this weird building 4 room style, which is going all the way down, and it's just like all these a billion things are going on, and nothing makes any sense whatsoever. This is the kind of thing that I could see getting nominated, but I can't see winning. So I think you're fine. I'm curious to see what the other ones.
Well, for the sake of completion, we have our nominees are Burrow, Genius Loci, If Anything Happens, I Love You, Opera, and Yes People. I said Opera's the only one I haven't seen myself.
Okay.
I do like Burrow quite a bit, and in another year I could see it being more of a contender.
Absolutely.
But you also got to always throw out that fact that in this category, people think Pixar does a lot better than it actually does.
Every other year.
GP 100%.
Practically every other year.
So,
and AJ,
your
opinion on the other two as well?
Well, I was gonna say for a while there, Burrow was bumming me out because I really just wanted to see that fucking rabbit get a home. And
everything good to try to. He knocked on the doors and everything like that, and then the creature came out of nowhere, and it's just like, hey, look what this is. And now it's like everybody comes together and tries to build him a home. It was great.
I do agree with what you told me about Genius Loci. I get what they're going for, but I don't get it like like from scene to scene. I don't. Nope. But I mean the animation is really inspired, which I think is in a lot of cases what they're looking for. Yeah, we might have to disagree on Yes People. Yes People's hilarious.
I think it's the whole thing about you liking the Aardman movies that I don't like. I think that might be the comparison. It kind of gives me that vibe a little bit, that Wallace and Gromit vibe, somewhat. And I don't dig that, so I didn't like Yes People, but I mean, to each their own.
And then the one that we were assuming was the front runner, which is If Anything Happens, I Love You, which has both a compelling and tragic story as well as inspired animation, which is pretty much a winning combination on top of the really heavy subject matter. So I could see it being a few of these, but I've kind of just always been leaning towards If Anything Happens, I Love You, and I imagine that's not really needing to be argued for any reason.
Nope. Ashley, what do you think?
Go with Laura Dern. If Anything Happens, I Love You.
I was not ready for it. I just wasn't. I didn't know anything going into it. I went into it completely blind. And I read the Wikipedia synopsis after it was over, and it was kind of like, wow, it just told me everything. But the thing is, it's like when you're going into it completely blind and you're not knowing exactly what you're getting yourself into, and you're wondering why everything is happening the way it is, and then you get that gut punch at the very end. It's like, oh, God. And it just sets with you for a minute. And the way that they played the shorts, they gave you a minute after for the credits to roll before it rolled into the next feature.
That's like I've stressed many times. You have no idea what's going to happen if you didn't watch it on Netflix, and the rating didn't. The top left didn't totally tell you what's going to happen.
Oh, you mean like started watching obviously you didn't, but when I started watching the first season of 13 Reasons Why, I saw the list of everything on Netflix and it told me what all was happening before it happened.
All right. Are we ready for some music categories?
Just to clarify, what did you say, AJ, for animated short?
We're all saying the same.
Okay. What's next?
Song.
This is not as easy as you think it is.
I actually listened to all of them and was able to make my decision based on that. I don't know how accurate that's going to be, but that's how I did it.
All right.
We've got Fight For You from Judas and the Black Messiah, Hear My Voice from the Trial of Chicago 7, Husavik from Eurovision Song Contest, Scene from The Life Ahead, and Speak Now from One Night in Miami. I guess right now the front runner is kind of Speak Now.
Maybe.
Yeah,
and I can say without a doubt in my mind, Speak Now is the most boring and generic of the five, which means that might make it even more likely. Especially since they can finally give Leslie Odom a win if they really want to, which is still interesting because he's the one that stands out the least of the four main cast. But all right, I don't. I really like Fight For You. I've listened to Fight For You a few times, and I love that it's like got like that sort of 70s vibe to it, and the lyrics are fucking insane. Like that what I really like Fight For You a lot. Obviously Husavik is the like kind of inspired choice, but they don't usually really go for the inspired choice, right?
It's playing Canada this year.
Yeah, or Everything Is Awesome, or those other ones. The Moon Song. There's always that one where it's like, oh, it's really cool that that's here. When an angel trades or when a cowboy trades his spurs for wings.
Yes.
But they never win, so I don't think Husavik's going to be going that far, unless that whole campaign it had going in is strong enough, which I honestly wouldn't put past. Hear My Voice isn't as generic as Speak Now, but it's still pretty generic. I could be going in way the wrong direction here, but we were talking about how Diane Warren has kind of been the Roger Deakins of this category for a while now. Scene is it's the best song here. It's the one that stands out the most by far. Like I said, I don't know that means anything, because I know if you ask just about anybody, if you were to ask them what category would you take out of the Oscars that already exists, most people say song. Wow. Like most people think it's a useless category. Well, I mean, is there a category you would take out before song?
Me?
And the shorts don't count in this question because I know that'd be a go-to choice also, but it's still like filmmaking.
I don't think makeup and hair really matters. If I had to pick one,
Ooh.
I can't think of anything else to even think about doing because you can't drop anything else that's important. So the only jump to would be makeup or costumes, or if you really want to not care, just visual effects. Depending on who you are, effects would be a go-to.
No, the correct
Well, the point
answer
I'm
is
gonna
you
come
actually
to
add.
is,
The correct answer is you add a 24 for like stunts.
That'd be fair if they really wanted to do that.
the conclusion I'm coming to is, and I know a lot of people will probably also say scene won't happen because it's Life Ahead's only nomination.
Matter.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. So I'm just, even though I do think speaking, I might be taking this. After listening to them, I would be remiss if I didn't say scene anyway. Like if I didn't just go down with it, if it should happen to go down.
Break the
so.
streak.
Yep.
Yeah, surely that streak is high profile enough at this point.
I would think so.
And when you got a song that would actually be worthy and not just all right, let's finally end this kind of thing. Yeah, it would be. It's gonna kind of suck if Speak Now takes this, quite honestly, because like I said, I'd take any of the other four over it. But yeah.
Ashley, what do you got?
Break the streak. For the love of God, please. Yeah.
Dude, there's so many songs.
She's been nominated 6 times in the last 7 years in this category. 5 of the times she shouldn't have won. And then the Lady Gaga Till It Happens to You happened. And Sam Smith decided to screw it all up. Because, it's like, if you look at some of her other stuff that she's done, like the song with Breakthrough and to some extent the song with RBG and to some extent the song with Marshall and the Beyond the Lights one from like 2015, they're a bit too speechy messagey. Till It Happens to You is as well, but because it's got Gaga doing the sort of singing and the lyrics, it feels like there's more meaning to it. That's how Scene feels to me. It doesn't feel like it's a song that's specifically written to win an Oscar, which, coming from a Diane Warren thing, is amazing. But the fact that How Do I Live from Leanne Rimes, that's one of hers. That was nominated, never won. Nothing Gonna Stop Us Now from Mannequin, one of hers, never won.
It shouldn't have won, though. What it lost to, completely justified.
It shows you how incredible she is. She managed to get Pearl Harbor an Oscar nomination back in 2002. Then nothing till 2015, and now just everything. Always.
All right.
Oh, and also she wrote I Don't Want to Miss a Thing for Aerosmith. God damn it.
Which should have won 1999. Easily.
Mm-hmm.
Because nothing from the Prince of Egypt is that good. Anyway, I love that song, and I will always have a special memory of that song, and it always reminds me of great times from the past. So yes, I definitely think it should have been Oscar winning not just nominated. Yeah, Diane Warren, Brock Lesnar style. Let's do this. Break the streak. See.
So we're all all going down with the Warren ship, I guess.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, as you've said, this is the first time in a while that she's deserved it. And this time, there are no other songs in that list that I'm like, none of them deserve to win, like I was with Writings on the Wall. So I feel more confident because it's like, if anything else wins, oh, that's all right. It's not like, God damn it, Diane didn't win again.
We've done some talking, debating, and defending. Let's do another easy one.
Sow.
Once again, just for the sake of completion, the score nominees are The Five Bloods, Mank, Minari, News of the World, and Soul. Yes, give me time to mention The Five Bloods' only fucking nomination, please.
It's only fair.
It should be all over this goddamn thing, but whatever. Yeah, I'm all for Bresner and Ross winning again, but as I've been saying many times, I especially want to see John Batiste take home an Oscar for Soul, because he's the real standout of like the whole movie. Anybody going a different direction?
There's literally no reason to.
Soul. All right, let's do a pain in the ass category now.
Oh no.
Well, I mean, it was a little more up in the air, or at least it used to be before guilds. But once again, do you always want to trust guilds, especially when their categories are so spread out? I don't know, but let's do makeup.
Ooh, okay.
Where we have Emma, Hillbilly Elegy, Ma Rainey, Mank, and Pinocchio. We were talking when we did the BAFTAs about how Pinocchio should probably be in this more than it is.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you look at it, and maybe it's the weird choice, like Border was. But, I mean, when you look at the other options, there's not... that's the thing. The reason you tend to have weird nominations like that don't end up winning is makeup almost always has a clear, predetermined winner.
Yeah.
Like, for most of the time, you already know who's going to win makeup long before nominations even come out. Usually. So this has been a really weird case. Where, honestly, like, it took me a minute. I mean, maybe this might be a terrible insult to Viola Davis, which I do not mean it as at all. But when Ma Rainey started winning so many makeup awards, I couldn't remember why.
Wow.
But it wasn't until it was brought to my attention, remember how different Viola Davis looked. But even so, it's more... That's not so much the kind of... We're so used to the obvious choice in makeup, we sometimes tend to, like, shun the more... things that are just kind of in one area rather than... Yeah, but... because it's not like... Obviously they changed Viola Davis, but it's not like Oldman in Darkest Hour, or Charlize in Bombshell, or something like that, or Bale in Vice. Yeah, I mean, I guess Ma Rainey is the obvious choice. So that's really all I feel like saying. I would go with Pinocchio, but that's the case of, is anybody gonna even, like, pursue Pinocchio? Like, not even, like how many voters will have seen the movie, but also how many voters will have even sought out, like, what all the process was. So I feel like makeup is a kind of a category where voters just kind of follow the leader. So in that case, that would be Mulroney at this point.
Ashley, do you concur?
Pinocchio.
All right. I'm going to go with Mulroney.
I just feel that because I'm trying to I'm trying to remember whether I think is it just the nominations are made up from people from within the makeup and hair community before it gets thrown open to the wider.
I want to say yes, but I feel like they're changing their rules so much. I don't feel confident in just doing that. But
part of me
I
is
want to say that.
Part of me is just makeup and hair so much over the past few years has been about making people not look like people. And if anything, that's Pinocchio's wheelbase out of all the other 5. Because to be fair, for Viola Davis, the makeup and hair mainly for her is a 1920s wig and teeth that they borrowed off a set of Hillbilly Elegy. Whereas Pinocchio, the kid was in like the seat for 8 hours before they could even film anything. That's why I'm going with that.
All right.
Here's another one that's kind of a pain in the ass.
Okay.
Costumes. We've got Emma, Mulroney, Mank, Mulan, and Pinocchio. Mulroney's been doing quite well guild-wise. But I looked into this because I felt like that was where we were going. And if I remember correctly, for the last, 4 years, the only movie to win costume design that had a guild win coming in was Black Panther. Because Fantastic Beasts, I think, lost... Phantom Thread lost to The Shape of Water, and Little Women didn't come in with a guild win.
Right.
So there's a movie that has been weirdly shunned in the categories, the only categories it should really be shining in. Once again, it's another case where with this movie there, I couldn't pull myself away from it, regardless of how much you look at what's won already or what the guilds went with or anything like that. But as we just talked about, the guilds are pretty unreliable with costumes, apparently. Which means this will be the one year that they are. Apart from 2018 as far as the last few years. Mulroney would be the obvious choice. Mank would seem like a fairly decent option also. But I can't pull myself away from Emma.
I think you might do, Sarah.
I really want to say Emma, and I couldn't help myself, so I said Emma.
All right. Ashley, what do you got?
She's 89. She hasn't won an Oscar in 23 years. Mulroney.
Yeah, I'm just going to stick with Mulroney here as well.
She won for The English Patient, and that's it. Which is a bit depressing, considering, she was doing costumes for, oh look, The Owl and the Pussycat in 1970.
How does that movie keep coming back?
As well as Midnight Cowboy 52 years ago.
All right, here's one that's not set in stone, but is less of a pain in the ass.
Okay.
Production design, where we've got The Father, Mulroney, Mank, News of the World, and Tenet. I bet on The Father at BAFTA and got screwed, and I feel like if BAFTA wasn't feeling inspired enough to go for it. Yeah, I mean, the father needs to be winning production design, like it, like it just needs to be. But I went with the other option, which is it feels like the obvious choice here is Mank. So I just played it safe and said Mank.
What you got, Ashley?
The fact that if I go on the history, Mank won everything that it's been up for. I feel confident that, you know, this will just be the, oh, it won everything else. Just put a trick in that column. So I'm sticking with Mank as well, but I'd love it to be The Father.
I will stick with the only movie I have yet to see in the Best Picture lineup.
News of the World.
Yeah.
Certainly not.
Gets in as a secret stealth.
All right.
entrant.
Here comes a conversation.
I think I know where we're headed here.
Yes, we have reached editing.
Oh, yeah, we have. Okay.
All right. For editing, we have The Father, Nomadland, Promised Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and Trial of Chicago 7. Do we all have it narrowed down to at least 2?
I think that's a good bet.
This is another one where The Father should be more of a player, but it won't be. Do we have it down to Trial of Chicago 7 and Sound of Metal?
I mean, I love Promising Young Woman to be in here, but it's not.
You know, to be totally honest with you, I honestly wasn't even really thinking about Sound of Metal here until the BAFTA win.
Oh, it's been my thought since day one, as you know.
Like, it just wasn't occurring to me. And it's one of those cases that we talked about where it's like, they don't always go for the super, super heavily edited, obvious ones. But the thing that really makes me say that, though, is that Vice lost, but Vice lost to Bohemian Rhapsody, which is another very edited movie, like, visibly. So it's like with editing, it seems like they either go with the front. They used to just kind of go with the front runner all the time, like the picture front runner all the time. But it seems like lately they put a lot more thought into it.
To be
than they
fair,
did in
though,
like the 90s.
to be fair, considering how long most Aaron Sorkin films are, that's probably why they get in for editing. Because if they didn't edit it, it'd be 14 hours long.
So I said Trial of Chicago 7,
Okay.
but I mean, yeah, I honestly feel like if Sound of Metal is also here, I just feel kind of distant to it as far as like I feel like I don't know. I don't remember. I guess I don't remember which direction the guild went. We have had the guild, right?
No.
Remember that.
That's the annoying thing. So, you know, just to mention it here, the animated stuff are literally doing it in about 2 hours from now, as we're doing this live. The Editors Guild is being announced Sunday. The Cinematographers Guild is Sunday. Sound Mixing is Saturday. And the Sound Editing is Sunday as well. So a lot of the guilds are basically pushing their things last minute to screw up our predictions.
Works, apparently.
So yeah, so apparently there's a race here, but I just feel pretty good about Trial of Chicago 7. So yeah.
Okay. Ashley, what do you got for editing?
To be honest, to me, it was actually between 4. Again, like you've both said, I don't think The Father's a little too subtle with its stuff to possibly in with a shout. But eventually, I went with Sound of Metal. probably swayed maybe a little too by BAFTA, but certainly when they showed the examples of editing at the BAFTA presentation, it seemed like the one that worked the best in that respect.
We'll get to chat in a bit. AJ knows I've had this conversation with him numerous times. I brought this up on various podcasts throughout this season. I don't know what it is, just for me, other than the obvious thing, which I don't think is going to happen because of the love for the supporting actor race right now. I've been equating Sound of Metal with Whiplash pretty much the whole season. And it's followed a very similar path. Not exactly the same, but a similar path. And editing is something I was thinking for Sound of Metal pretty much since day one. And it's going to seem like I'm piggybacking off Ashley's, but AJ and I have had this conversation long enough for him to verify 100% with you guys and girls out there that this has always been my answer. And I'm definitely sticking with Sound of Metal here for editing.
All right, let's do another easy one to finish up before we get to the big 8.
Cinematography.
So, for cinematography, we have Judas and the Black Messiah, Mank, News of the World, Nomadland, and The Trial of Chicago 7 for some reason. Who's not saying Nomadland? Anybody?
I really go against it just for funsies, but I'm not going to lose a point. It's winning.
I remember a time
Mank.
very, very long ago where Mank was like a perceived frontrunner here.
Time.
Wow, that feels like decades ago.
Yeah, that was back when Amanda Seyfried was going to win the whole thing.
Don't get ahead of yourself yet.
You never know what might happen.
I mainly just went for him because he doesn't have a Wikipedia page.
And that's what I'm afraid of.
He doesn't have a Wikipedia page. Everybody else in that category has a Wikipedia page. Just your James Richards does not. Despite the fact that he's done things like The Rider and God's Own Country and things like that.
And do you plan on saying something that's not Nomadland, or are you saying Nomadland?
Like I said, I'd love to go against it, but I
No
can't,
Man's Sky.
especially here.
No Man's Sky.
All right. Are we ready for the big 8 now?
Finally. Yes.
All right. For adapted screenplay, we have Borat, The Father, Nomadland, One Night in Miami, and The White Tiger. We've got it down to 2, right?
I don't know what Ashley's thinking, but yeah.
So, obviously, for the longest time, we were all like, Nomadland is obviously the front runner. It's as much of a given as nearly all adapted screenplay winners usually are. And then more people started seeing The Father. And after I saw The Father, I was thinking, like, wouldn't it be amazing? Because The Father needs a big win. It just needs one. Like, that's, I would almost go as far as to say that's objective. The Father needs a big win. And the fact that obviously with Nomadland being the very far ahead front runner in both picture and director, it's like, well, you can't necessarily, I mean, you could just win picture and director, but you need at least one more, and obviously that one more would be cinematography.
Yep.
Now, because like we were talking about, things are like winning less and less when they win picture. Green Book only won 2 others, Spotlight only won 1 more, Moonlight only won 2 others. Did I say Green Book only won 2 others already? There was a lot of 3 winners there for a while. Um, and I was thinking this, and I was going to do it as like this big, fuck it, we'll just see what happens thing. But then BAFTA happened.
Yep.
And I was thinking, oh, so it wouldn't even be crazy necessarily to bet against Nomadland here. It might be just a little bit, but and like I was saying, the last time I bet against a Best Picture winner in Screenplay for a movie with Olivia Colman, it fucked me over because I said The Favorite would have won original screenplay over Green Book. I also didn't know that Green Book was going to win picture at that. That's going to fuck me over again. And clearly, our Best Picture winner is going to take adapted screenplay, or it's going to be The Father, and I'm going to say The Father.
All right, Ashley, what do you got?
In all honesty, I think we have, well, I can't say another Diane Warren. And it's not even to the extent of an Anne Roth. Because the last time Hampton won was 1988 for Dangerous Liaisons, so yeah, I'm probably going with The Father here as well. To be fair, I did have it as a possible 3-horse race, because I somehow think Borat might, if Borat's done enough campaigning, it could somehow get in. But I feel more confident in maybe voters like, I don't know if it was Bry or whoever else in chat, but are basically going, Chloe doesn't have to win everything.
No.
So I think this is the most likely. I'd say this is more likely than editing in terms of Chloe Zhao doesn't win it.
All right. Yeah, this is. I mean, I just got out of it a bit ago, and everything I saw is still resonating in my head, and I am 100% unopposed with The Father taking this, and that's what I'm going to go with.
About a month ago, I would not in a million years have guessed that all three of us would not be saying Nomadland.
Same.
Let's see how that goes. All right. So, original screenplay.
Yes.
We have Judas and the Black Messiah, Minari, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and Trial of Chicago 7. I know people are going to say they're not related, but yeah, they kind of are. SAG made this a race.
Yeah.
Regardless of where we are now, SAG made this a race. Meaning we have it down to probably 2, right?
Yep.
Promising Young Woman or Trial of Chicago 7. I do not think Sorkin is dead.
No, not at all.
Sorkin is very much here. Sorkin, Reznor and Ross, and Fincher all have come together in the same year again in 3 different places. And 2 of those groups of people could very well win again. One of them certainly will. But I've been feeling there's been a lot of really good vibes in Promising Young Woman's direction.
Heck yeah.
It's been getting a lot of it's been getting a lot of wins here when it really needs them.
Oh yeah.
If I remember correctly, her 2 big wins with WGA and BAFTA were both against Sorkin, right?
Yes, they were.
So she's been beating her main competition up to this point. There's a lot of love for that movie, some very well-deserved love for that movie.
Yeah.
So I am going to stick with Promising Young Woman, while I fear Sorkin lurking in the shadows, or not so lurking.
All right, what do you got, Ashley?
Chocolate BAFTA mask. I'm going with Emerald. That film needs at least something.
I mean, do I really need to say it, honestly? Come on.
Yes, Minari's gonna win something. Yeah.
We'll get that in a minute,
Oh
actually.
yeah. I was gonna say you're one category ahead.
Oh, sorry. Oh wait, Hillbilly Elegy's gonna win. Yeah.
No. Yeah, I remember a time when supporting actress was a race. I remember when supporting actress.
I remember when it was a different race. It is no.
That might be the better. That might be the better way to put it, because I don't want to take it's really cool that Yoon is where she is right now in the race. You know what? As long as it's anybody but Seyfried, we're good. So.
Can't judge the movie because I haven't seen it yet.
All right, so we're officially in supporting actress now, right?
Yes, we are.
In case it needs to be declared for the record, Owen's going for Promising Young Woman.
Well, duh, of course.
I know, but I'm just saying in case. Yeah. Sorry, I've been watching too much Line of Duty Police thing, and it's like, for the record, suspect is nodding. You know, something like that. It's like...
All right, for supporting actress, we have Maria Bakalova for Borat, Glenn Close for Hillbilly Elegy, Olivia Colman for The Father, Amanda Seyfried for Mank, and Yo Dong Yoon for Minari. So this was a race for a while. We thought it was a Yoon versus Bakalova thing. I was on that close thing for a little bit, but when SAG cut it off is when it was like, okay, well that's done then. So we're not getting Close versus Coleman round 2. Yeah, Yoon seems to have really secured her place here with the two big ones with SAG and BAFTA. So I feel really good about saying her. So yeah, and she'll make a good winner too. So better than Seyfried, definitely.
I'll know on Tuesday. Ashley, continue.
I am pompous. I am pompous. I am pompous. Yeah, Yojin Yoon.
How is Coleman not more in this? That's my question.
The problem is, in half the film, Olivia Colman isn't even playing her.
True, but it's still the character.
And it's actually there's really only
part the time it's Olivia, but part the time it's also Gatiss, and then part the time Olivia Colman is Imogen Poots.
When I watched it a second time, there was a lot more Coleman than I remembered.
She was very promising. She was very prominent in what I remember seeing.
She's much more Coleman than when she's not Coleman.
Yeah, there's more her, but like the pivotal points is when it is but isn't her. That's the thing.
I'm not the biggest fan of Minari. It's not terrible. I don't dislike it, and I think Yoon is the correct answer here. But I still feel like we could have had a Borat win. But when Borat couldn't even win screenplay, it was kind of like, nah, this isn't happening. Bakalova had a nice run, but it never really went anywhere other than just it was flashy and she was very present and everything.
There was a shitload of campaigning.
Apparently.
Yeah, I think that's why Bakalova had so many people behind, like she could win, was that was just the campaign at work more than anything else.
I think she can win. Okay, why do you think she can win? I don't know. I feel that she can win. Why? Telling her she can win, so she can win. All right, let's see how that works for you there, Pally.
My vote is for Meryl Streep.
All right, should we do supporting actor?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We have Sacha Baron Cohen for Chicago 7, Daniel Kaluuya for Judas and the Black Messiah, Leslie Odom Jr. for One Night in Miami, Paul Radcliffe for Sound of Metal, and Lakeith Stanfield for Judas and the Black Messiah. I'm gonna say a couple of things I feel like I've said a million times already. The first being Kaluuya is my choice.
Right. But
And just in case there's people here that weren't before or come across this that haven't before, with fully having Kaluuya as my choice, just so we're clear, I was not ruling out the possibility that voters were so passionate to get Stanfield in that they all seemed to have band together to defy his category placement, his official category placement by the campaign.
Yep.
Which is something that kind of just doesn't happen. Usually, if you're stuck in a campaign and if you're stuck in a category that you don't stand a chance in, you just get fucked. The Academy wanted him in so badly. They somehow, in some mass cerebral move, were like, nope, he's going to be supporting now. It doesn't matter if he's leading. We're going to do that because that's how badly we want him in, which means there's a lot of passion behind him. And the question is how much of that passion will eat up Kaluuya votes? And then could somebody else that's neither one of them come in? Paul Radcliffe, I feel like being the choice for that. Some people might say Cohen, but like I was saying, every now and then I get Mark Rylance vibes from Radcliffe, being the veteran that had like no mainstream cred before an Oscar nomination.
I would absolutely love that.
Yeah, but let me be clear. I'm saying Kaluuya. There's no there's nothing, but I'm saying it's fun to theorize that that's not impossible.
And I think we're under the same opinion, and I believe we have this same opinion that, well, first off, if Cohen was going to go anywhere, it would have already happened by now. And we talk about splitting the votes every year being something that usually never happens. Rassi winning would be great because it plays in my J.K. Simmons thought process with Whiplash. But at the end of the day, I like Stanfield a whole lot more than I like Kaluuya, especially because the portrayal, I think, is a lot stronger. And if they really want him to win, they could push for that. But yeah, not going with Kaluuya at this point would probably be more of a sucker bet. At this point. Ashley, what do you got?
I'm sticking with Kaluuya, but the thing that has me intrigued is the people that really liked him. Okay, it's not the award sort of stuff, but California really liked him. If you look at like his awards and nominations for Sound of Metal, okay, he was runner-up in LA, but the Hollywood critics gave him a win. The National Board of Review and the National Society of Film Critics in San Diego and San Francisco. There's a fair few there that could swing it. But I'm still going with Kaluuya because somebody British has to win. Otherwise, the news over here will be like, nobody from Britain has won. We are sad.
And then we just show the lizard in the background and everything's better again.
Did somebody say lizard?
Well, no.
That's-
Again.
I really hope we get Geico commercials on the Oscars, and then I'll just. Well, we now got a Geico commercial, so we have to show the lizard on screen for the duration of the Geico commercial.
Yeah, I pretty much said it a few minutes ago, and I'm going to stick with it. I'm sticking with Kaluuya, but like AJ said, it's nice to think about what could be, right?
Well, speaking of that,
Oh, yeah.
let's go to the category where apparently there are no wrong answers.
Unless maybe Vanessa Kirby.
I wouldn't even rule her out anymore, quite honestly.
The wrong answer is picking take a shot, a definite winner, because there's no way that everybody's not in this in some way or another. Even Kirby, because she could be the Hail Mary at the very last second. Not likely, but it could happen.
All right, this wild-ass actress category is Viola Davis for Ma Rainey, Andra Day for United States versus Billie Holiday, Vanessa Kirby for Pieces of a Woman, Frances McDormand for Nomadland, and Carey Mulligan for Promising Young Woman. I feel like Mulligan kind of went in the favorite.
For sure.
And then Andra Day took the Globe, Davis took SAG, and McDormand took BAFTA.
And independent spirits are yet to be determined, considering three of them are in contention for that one as well.
Look for that video in probably about an hour. But if you're live.
So Davis took SAG, McDormand took BAFTA, neither of which Day was present. So there's that.
True.
Then you have the fact that McDormand won BAFTA because none of her competition was there, unless you consider Kirby competition. It's anybody's game, really. So let's not take anything away from Vanessa Kirby just yet.
Right.
Mulligan's got that piddly ass Critics' Choice win,
but
don't care.
She's also. Well, here's the thing: is what's weird about this is I've been very adamant over the years about when in doubt, go with SAG. Has seemed to have worked for me a lot in the past,
right?
And surely others. But Davis winning SAG felt like it came so from kind of out of nowhere. I don't know that I trust it. And there's a couple of things. First off, a lot of people are making the comparison to the fact that she also won for The Help, which she ended up losing to Streep eventually.
Mm.
Which basically means that maybe SAG just loves her.
Possible.
So Viola Davis has proven before a SAG win can help her win, and a SAG win could not mean that, because she's done both now. Then I took the route, as painful as it was, to compare Davis's SAG win with Denzel's for Fences.
Right.
Which, much as it still breaks my heart, it makes me hate Casey Affleck, did not amount to anything but that. Also, a leading role in an August Wilson adaptation, by the way. So, I mean, I could see people saying that Mulligan would not be a good choice, but weirdly enough, nobody seems to be saying that. It's weird. Statistically, it's weird how much Mulligan is still here. This would be the death of pretty much anybody else, but the wins this year have just been so fucking weird, and the way the competition has played out, where some people are nominated and some people aren't, it's a really bizarre-ass race. I can't remember the last time we saw one like it.
Well, it's real quick. It's funny you mentioned that, AJ, because a lot of so-called predictors and people that know what they're talking about are saying that if Carey would have been in BAFTA, she would have won hands down.
You would think.
And that's
Remember Fassbender for 12
right.
Years a Slave. Remember when Jared Leto got snubbed for Dallas Buyers Club, and everybody was like, "Wow, this will be the easiest win of Fassbender's career," and Barkhad Abdi beat him.
Yep. I lost on that
So
conversation.
I don't know for sure about that Mulligan assumption, but um, well, I guess I should say I'm going with Mulligan. I'm just trying to figure out how that makes sense because it's first off it's a feeling, but also there's the thing where it's like usually it doesn't really matter too much, but in a race like this, I feel like it's got to matter at least a little bit how much passion the movie itself has going in. And the fact that there's so much goodwill behind Mulligan, especially for this performance. Like the fact that she missed at BAFTA was like the biggest news of the BAFTA announcements.
Absolutely.
And so she just did the Saturday Night Live run, which helps everybody but Adam Driver. And
To be fair, Adam Driver had time on SNL, so that might have been why it canceled it out.
and then there's the whole thing about Andra Day having serious Regina King vibes. Where Regina King very recently proved that you can win a Globe, be snubbed everywhere else, and still win. But of course, the thing is, one of the best award moments in history. The fact that the winner of SAG, when Regina King won, was somebody that wasn't even nominated. Whereas somebody is remaining in the race now every time we have a show. So, yeah. I mean, I'm saying this thing about how I'm not feeling Day. Like I feel Day. This might get confusing. I might feel Day more than I feel Davis. Actually, I feel much more confident in Day than I do Davis as far as one of them potentially winning. And then it's crazy how much we kind of go over the fact that McDormand is clearly in this because Nomadland is such a fucking front runner.
True.
Like we all know Nomadland is winning. And it's like it's weird how much McDormand is kind of like, oh yeah, she's here too. And she's got BAFTA coming in. Regardless of whether she was up against her competition or not, she very easily could have lost BAFTA for how fucking weird BAFTA was this year. But her winning BAFTA does make it to where I'll stress. I don't want to harp on this, but I mean, I do need to stress again. It really doesn't matter how recent Three Billboards was. Once again, all these were only 2 years apart, and both of those were picture winners. So we're dealing with the fact that Three Billboards wasn't a picture winner, but Nomadland is certainly going to be. And she's got the other comparison we make a lot with McDormand is Keaton for Birdman. How you can be the main character, the main lead that we're always with throughout a Best Picture winner, and you can still lose. But Keaton only had a Globe going in and a Comedy Globe. And Birdman fucking lost to Grand Budapest Hotel. Not that the Globes are like this big thing, but so when we're dealing with like this Andra Day stuff, fucking Regina King made the Globes a lot more relevant than they should be. So yeah, with all this, it just all seems crazy enough that we could somehow come back around to Mulligan. But like I said, how much the movie just keeps gaining in momentum, like not to where it's passing Nomadland or anything, but it's had steady momentum for a while, and so much goodwill behind Mulligan that it's because I guess you could bring the potential screenplay win into this also, where you could say if Promising Young Woman wins screenplay, is that them saying, oh, we got to give it something, or is that strength that can back Mulligan? It could be either one. But that's the very, very, very long version of me saying I'm going with Mulligan. So, what do you guys have to say?
I know you don't want to put a lot of credit into the Critics' Choice, but that's the only award ceremony when all 5 were in contention.
Exactly.
That's a very interesting point.
So that's why I think there's enough momentum, despite the controversies behind it and everything. I think it might be strong enough for... Because I don't know whether McDormand's even wanting to win.
She doesn't seem very into it. She barely seemed into her 3 billboards win.
Because I think she might be more into sort of the Macbeth one. Because it's like you're doing like classical literature on the big screen that people are going to pay big ass attention to. Plus, you know, we've got to give Kara the award before her career gets tainted by being involved in a Bradley Cooper directed film.
Yeah, because I guess we also can't ignore the fact that since she is a credited producer, that McDormand is getting her 3rd Oscar anyway. It's just a matter of if she'll be getting another acting one anytime soon.
Also, apparently they announced this month that Carey Mulligan's going to be in the new Adam Sandler film. Which apparently is like some sci-fi novel, so it must be Adam Sandler Uncut Gems version rather than anything that gets involved in the Razzie Sandler. Hopefully.
So, I'm sure it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out where I'm going with this. There was never any different choice for me. I really felt this entire run that it was going to happen, and one by one, the dominoes did not fall the way I wanted them to. BAFTA put me to the point that I kayfabed the world, literally. I just didn't say one word for an entire podcast because I was so angry. So, at the end of the day, there is one thing that I can say at the end of this. I don't see my movie going home empty-handed. This will definitely not be another American Hustle situation. And hopefully by the end of the day, I can finally say the SNL carryover will actually work. And yes, best actor, Carey Mulligan, Promising Young Woman.
Did Ashley give an official answer?
For the record, for the record, I went with Mulligan as well.
There's quite a few where it might be all 3 of us going down with particular ships.
Yeah. Speaking of,
we still got another.
So what I was saying about adapted screenplay, where I was like, I never in a million years thought this would be a race. Okay, so for actor, we have Riz Ahmed for Sound of Metal, Chadwick Boseman for Ma Rainey, Anthony Hopkins for The Father, Gary Oldman for Mank, and Steven Yeun for Minari. So, pre-BAFTA, I would have just said Boseman, moving on. I'm still saying Boseman, but I paused for a second. Because obviously, pretty much anybody going into the... Kind of like how we were saying, if Soul was going to get beat by anybody, it would be because Wolfwalkers would win BAFTA, which obviously didn't happen.
Right.
I do feel like there were a lot of people saying if Boseman's going to get beat by anybody this year, it would be Hopkins at BAFTA.
That's true.
So while we didn't really necessarily completely see it coming, I feel like it was somewhat predetermined at some point before Boseman really became the frontrunner that he is. But it's Hopkins giving this performance in this movie, which in any other year there would be no race. Like, for as much as there was no race with Boseman up to this point, it would have been that way with Hopkins if Ma Rainey didn't come out. I am not going to say if Boseman were alive, because I still don't believe that's true. If Ma Rainey had just not come out at all, Hopkins would be just blowing through this.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, like I said, I'm still going to say Boseman, and I say Boseman with, like, confidence, but I paused this time, unlike I have the other times, because Hopkins winning BAFTA may not just be a thing, but yeah.
Ashley.
Boseman. Because the Academy... I feel the Academy don't want to... Just from that clip from... Was it the Globes, was it? When they got the kindergarten kids?
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
If they don't give something to Chadwick, you know, a guy with so much talent that was taken away from us too soon won't get anything unless they do a James Dean and try and put him in films that it probably won't make sense. And it's still a bloody good performance. I don't think it's the best performance of the year, but with the emotional stuff behind it, plus Anthony's already got one, plus the way he reacted to his BAFTA win was, oh, the neighbours must be cheering about something in the football. Plus, he's not going to show up. Do we just put it on the train and say, send the train to Wales?
I mean, regardless if he wants it or not, I walked out of The Father tonight and said, I'm not completely sure to hit that check box right now on Chadwick's name. Because, my God, Anthony Hopkins is just incredible. And it keeps building and building with every scene, all the way to the very end, where he has some extremely powerful moments. Exactly, it's insane. And I got out of the movie and I was like, oh man, I'm going to go with Boseman as well. For all the reasons and then some that have been said on this podcast. But I would not be shocked or be upset if Hopkins won.
Okay, you want to do something? Let's see how fast we can do these last two.
Down with that. Let's take this home.
Best Director: Thomas Vinterberg for Another Round, Dave Fincher for Mank, Lee Isaac Chung for Minari, Chloe Zhao for Nomadland, Emerald Fennell for Promising Young Woman. Chloe Zhao.
Yeah, Chloe Zhao. Do I want it to be the answer? No. Is it going to be the answer? Yes.
Yeah. I just like there to be an upset and just like have Lee Isaac Chung win it.
No. Emerald.
It could be David Fincher though, and then AJ will stick his fingers in his eyes.
Here's the.
We'll just pretend it's for The Social Network and be blissfully ignorant forever. Are you gonna say something, Owen?
Yeah, basically, I would think at this point, I would much rather have more of a race here. our friends at Gold Derby have been trying to drill into my head a thought that I do not want to put in there because then I'm going to get my hopes up and like, no. A lot of people are thinking, at least so-called predictors, thinking that Promising Young Woman is a lot more of a challenger to picture than anybody anticipated it to being. And I'd love that to be the case, and I want that to be the case. It is not, and I have to drill that into my head.
Let's discuss that right. Do you want to discuss that right now?
Yeah, please.
For Best Picture, we have The Father, Judas and the Black Messiah, Mank, Minari, Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and Chicago 7. Nomadland.
Is it the right answer? No. Actually, hell no. But that's the answer. Nomadland. Seriously shocked if anything else wins. I haven't seen Mank yet, and I can't justifiably put together a top 8 at this point. But I can honestly say, as of this very moment, if I had to pick one that's my bottom without picking Mank, because I can't say I've seen it yet, so I don't know if I'm going to like it, the bottom for me is Nomadland. It's not that I dislike it, it's just, it's the weakest of the entire picture lineup. Without seeing Mank, I can't say anything with that yet, but I may like it, who knows, but yeah, it's gonna be another extremely underwhelming Best Picture. And like I said before, I went on record when this season started, right before it did, that I absolutely loved Green Book and talked about it for a long time. So I will defend that movie when everybody else won't. But Nomadland, no. Chloe Zhao winning, I'm fine with, because I understand. But that's it. The movie, no. I think that's it. I think we're done finally.
Does Ashley have a comment?
I thought we did.
This category is always the interesting one. Because what? I know we're not supposed to bring up the La La Land fiasco. But this category, even last year, when I would say personally it wasn't, this category has a theory of being the Hail Mary.
I want it to be, very much so.
So for that reason, my Hail Mary is Trial of the Chicago 7.
I would be completely 100% okay with that.
There have been the argument obviously one could make here is that usually this is the case if there's a race. When so far there hasn't really been a race, but when there has been a race, SAG by itself has called races many times.
Mm-hmm. And considering it, to be fair, to me it is very much spotlight. There is not one single performance that deserves to be singled out as a collaboration with lots of hand gestures.
So I'm just noticing something here.
I want to do it. No, I can't.
So you have Trial of Chicago 7 winning Best Picture by itself.
Hey, Hail Mary. Hail Mary. I just don't want it to be Nomadland. I'm honestly at this point where I'd like to lose, and even if I lose and Nomadland doesn't win, I win. Because I just feel Nomadland. The problem is if Nomadland wins, Disney are going to treat it as their win rather than Fox Searchlight, which arguably means this is the last time that film company even gets a chance at the independent spirit. Which, when you think how much Fox Searchlight stuff has appeared at the Spirits over the years. I just don't feel in the shape that Disney is in when they're giving us Marvel movies as TV shows, when it'd be like, just go balls to the wall and actually just put it out as a movie.
The thing I'm starting to play out all the scenarios where Trial Chicago 7 would somehow win. And I'm having flashbacks of because obviously I have it winning editing, which would be a really good get for it. Then there was the Green Book scenario where we were all under the assumption that Roma was winning, I thought. And I feel like many people were going for the favorite in Screenplay, and it's like when Green Book won Screenplay is when the tide seemed to turn in that direction. Because it was like, how the hell did Green Book win Screenplay? That's weird. Anyway, and then when it won Picture, it's like, oh, that Screenplay win makes much more sense now. It's like, if Sorkin beats Fennell in Screenplay, I am going to spend the rest of the night wondering if that's what happened. If SAG did it again. Is that all?
Well, to the comments. Which is basically just Bry's comments. Will Ferrell is not performing the Husavik song, so ratings will be even further down. I've heard this year that they're saying because of the time of year and everything, the ratings could be absolutely terrible for the Oscars.
I'm sure they will be.
It should be tasty.
Except for everybody. Bozeman win.
Everybody just kind of watches the clips, once they're posted. So it's like ratings are probably always going to just get progressively worse, but people are still.
To be fair, that's sort of similar with the wrestling. They show such extensive clips of like the segments, like the big sort of segments, rather than watching the television, that people just watch that, and that's why the ratings on the YouTube clips for them are huge. So I certainly understand that. Also, it's because of the Obamas.
There's a lot of.
Go ahead, AJ. Sorry.
I was saying there was also the thing where like you could say it's YouTube clips, but there's a lot of cases where Twitter videos get even more hits than YouTube videos.
Oh no! But well, I don't know how much. So at least with the wrestling, I'm trying to make the comparison with the wrestling stuff. More people.
I mean, in general, of like how.
More people internationally will see the stuff on social media than they will on television. So. In everything. It's because of the Obamas why you're going with Crip Camp, apparently, AJ.
I mean, it's somewhat crossed my mind, but it's like we literally were just there with American Factory, so I wasn't really considering it that much, but it was... I don't know why, really, it's the one that stuck out to me, but... Yeah.
Marley Matlin is an exec producer on Feeling Through.
That makes sense.
H-E... Is it pronounced or H-E-R? I'm guessing it's her.
Yeah, somebody said it at the BAFTAs, and they said her.
She's 20. She's 23 apparently. Do you think No Time to Die from No Time to Die might be ineligible next year? I've looked at the wording. As long as it is a song originally produced exclusively for the soundtrack of a film, it should be allowed. And I think because of the circumstances of basically it getting cancelled, and from what I can tell, the only reshoots for that film have been because the mobile phone that they were trying to plug 12 months ago is now old as shit. So they just reshot the bits with the newer phone that they're trying to plug. I don't know whether that's substantial enough for it to not be eligible. Then again, does every Bond theme have to get nominated? Because Another Time to Die didn't, because it was shit. But you know my
It's
name.
really something that's only there.
But you know my name didn't. I'm trying to think. Because I don't think any of the other classic sort of Bond themes. I think Skyfall might have been the first. Maybe?
It was the first one to win. I think maybe one more was, but I don't remember what that would have been. Or maybe not.
Quick. Wikipedia will tell me because it says awards and nominations received by James Bond films.
Yeah, because it was rare for a long time, and then suddenly.
Of course.
What's that?
Technically, the first Bond film that was nominated for Best Song was Casino Royale. Because Dusty Springfield's The Look of Love was just for that film. Shows you how memorable that song is, and nobody remembers it being in that film. No, I take it back. Live and Let Die was nominated for Best Song in '74. Losing out to, what did it lose out to? Please tell me. The Way We Were from The Way We Were. And Spy Who Loved Me's, Nobody Does It Better, also lost out that year to You Light Up My Life from You Light Up My Life. And then, wow, the last time was For Your Eyes Only, for Sheena Easton. Well, she didn't write it, but which lost out to Arthur's theme from Arthur. There's some weird choices there. At the Globes, From Russia with Love was actually nominated as well. Wait, Never Say Never Again got nominated for a Golden Globe? Oh dear God. I didn't need to see that. That's depressing. Back to the comments, sorry. If Diane Warren wins, Ash would love to see her bash Sam Smith. No. She's better than that. She'll bash some other song that was crap from her illustrious career of being nominated. I did enjoy Grateful from Beyond the Lights. I don't remember it, so if AJ wants to nominate Five Bloods, do that for his Big 8 lineup. That's been a tradition on this channel. I know Owen can't do it. I don't know if I've actually seen enough films for his lineup. Oh, I've seen enough films. That's why I'm going to put in films that nobody else saw that they should have seen. We'll get to The Spirits for one of them because I'm going to be screaming that one. There's no rules for any type of movie to get nominated. That means Bad Education and Hamilton could get in. Which is fair, because technically in the UK they were released as movies. So, we're counting it. Speaking of Nomadland, have you heard about the Amazon controversy? Whether it's not going to matter with the votes because it's too late. I did hear a thing. Basically, it's not portraying the gig economy accurately. I don't think the voters will care about that. Because
There's always a very last minute smear campaign for the front runner, and it pretty much never works.
Well, practically everything got smeared, didn't it? I think the only one that didn't was Minari. Father got smeared because some people thought it wasn't a realistic depiction or something. Judas and the Black Messiah got snubbed somewhere, I think. I certainly remember Promising Young Woman getting smeared because of its stuff.
I think I heard there were some people that were pissed about Judas because it made O'Neill too sympathetic, but that's just making a well-rounded character, I guess.
If Chloe does win the 4 she's up for, she'll be the first person since Walt Disney to win 4 Oscars in one night, and we all know about his reputation in his cryogenic freezer. I'm wondering if McDormand will show up at the Oscars. I'd have thought so. It's at a train station. How unique is that going to be? You're going to win an Oscar in a train station. Not at, like, the actual venue. An actual train station. That's unique enough, surely. And that's all the comments, so part 1 is done.
All right. So if you're live right now, you'll be joining us in just a few minutes for our Independent Spirit Awards predictions, which hopefully will be over in an hour. Because I have to get to bed.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be like 10 minutes.
Quicker. It's gonna be quicker.
So if you want to keep joining, you can feel free to. The link will pop up momentarily, and that's going to be your show. If you've been watching along with the Popcast this season, thank you everyone for joining us. We still have our final Oscar Popcast to do, which we're going to do a live recap of the show. And then after the show's over, we'll do a quick wrap up, and then we'll take it home, and then we'll be done until 2022. So that's going to be your video for tonight. I want to thank everyone for watching. Thank you, Ashley, for joining us.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, AJ, for joining us.
Sure.
And until just a few minutes from now, boys and girls, that's all we got to say about that.
Oh, he's got to post the thing. Do the thing. And then I scar everybody with lizard! Ah!